Welcome to Haunted Talks, the official podcast of The Haunted Walk, offering thematic walking tours and paranormal adventures in Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto, Ontario. My name is Jim Dean. I am the creative director, and I really appreciate you joining us for this week's show. In the last episode, I had the pleasure to speak with Andrea Janes from the awesomely named, at least from a marketing guy's perspective, Burrows of the Dead in New York City. This week, we continue the trend of speaking with epically named ghost tour companies as we head to Liverpool, England, to speak with our good friends at Shiverpool. Before we get to that, we do have a major announcement. As of today, tickets for our 2018 Halloween season have gone on sale. And this year, our Halloween season is going to run September 28th through to November 3rd. Now, I'm sure it would not surprise you to hear that at this time of year, we really do pull out all the stops. And I'm not going to mention every tour we have running during the Halloween season, as there's lots of time for that. But I do want to point out a couple highlights. First and foremost, we will have our original haunted walks of Kingston, Ottawa, and Toronto running throughout that entire period. And if you've never done a tour with us before, that is a great place to start, as it does provide an overview of the classic ghost stories from each of those cities. I would like to mention a couple of the more unique experiences that we provide during the Halloween season. If you're in Ottawa and are a fan of the zombie genre, if you're a fan of The Walking Dead, you absolutely must check out our Incident at the Bunker, a zombie adventure. It's kind of like being right in the middle of your own zombie film, a great combination of scares, humor, and of course, a heck of a lot of zombies, 4 stories underground at the Diefenbunker, Canada's Cold War Museum. That is an absolute must if you're in Ottawa. In Toronto, I would highly recommend you check out our experiences at Black Creek Pioneer Village. The first is the Haunted Walk experience at Black Creek Pioneer Village, which is our ghost tour of the property. And there's many old, creepy buildings there that you get to explore late at night. And we have just a ton of great ghost stories. But more importantly, maybe, it's a site where many of our guests on tour have had their own unique, unexplainable encounters. So that's definitely one to check out if you're interested in the ghost story side of things. If you're interested in the most frightening experience possible, there is absolutely nothing like the seance at Black Creek. We've teamed up with our good friend and mind reader, James White, to give you an authentic Victorian seance. Now, I have to say, having done it several times myself and up there, I almost feel bad at how frightened people are at the end of that experience, but it is absolutely awesome. So if you know or are someone who loves the scary things around Halloween, the seance at Black Creek is an absolute must. I would say it is going to be the most frightening experience offered in Toronto this Halloween season. In Kingston, we will be taking part in Fort Fright with our good friends at Fort Henry. Final details for those tours are still being ironed out, but it's always a good time up at the fort in Kingston. For information about any of our tours and certainly our Halloween season, please visit our website, which is hauntedwalk.com. We'd also love to connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Haunted Walk. A quick reminder, we do have a goal to try to get to 50 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts by the end of August. So if you are enjoying the episodes and haven't had the opportunity yet, it's a great time to leave us a 5-star review. They mean a lot to us and really help other people discover the show as well. That was a long flight over, so I'm really looking forward to stretching my legs. Liverpool is a fascinating place dating back to the 13th century and, of course, the birthplace of the Beatles. I see our friends from Shiverpool waiting for us just over there, and I can't wait to hear about the city's history and, of course, its many ghost stories.
I suppose it drew me in. I've always been involved in the arts. That's really my specialism, sort of visual art. I actually got involved in Shiverpool to develop the company and its visual presence, sort of marketing and that sort of thing. And I just enjoyed the whole idea of storytelling, and I saw the effect that it had. I really enjoyed the format that Shiverpool used to draw audiences in to storytelling and to listening about the history of the city, listening to the folklore tales, and really just enjoying being entertained and experiencing that whole kind of world of stories. And ghost stories has a real pull, for people all over the spectrum. It drew me in, Jim. My name is Lucy Carew, and I'm the artistic director of Shiverpool, which is a theatrical historical ghost walk experience based in Liverpool, UK. Liverpool's history goes back, it's not as old as, say, cities like York or, say, Edinburgh in terms of their medieval history. The story begins really in about 1207 when Liverpool was given a royal charter. And from then, the city started to grow and prosper quite slowly to begin with. It was just a fishing village on the banks of the River Mersey, which is in the northwest of England. So, close to, say, a big city like Manchester, not far away from Manchester. The ghost story content really draws upon and from the Victorian era of Liverpool. So Liverpool was a big slaving city. During the middle of the 19th century, way over half of the entire globe's trade was passing through the port of Liverpool. So, it really did start to grow and prosper through, unfortunately, the trading of slaves. And obviously the port itself was very busy, so a lot of its wealth came from that industry. And so from that, it attracted many rich merchants. So the architecture in Liverpool and the legacy of the city really started to sort of hot up or boil up around that time. And so Liverpool has an incredible it has a medieval history, although it is quite hidden. But it also has an incredible Victorian history. So the landscape of the city is very beautiful. It's quite small as well. And so in terms of exploring the city's landscape, it's quite easy and very enjoyable. And it has an intimacy and a really wonderful sort of glory as well. The backdrop of the city really lends itself to atmospheric storytelling. And obviously because of the I suppose a controversial history as well adds to the intrigue, of Liverpool's sort of past. And if anyone who's been to Liverpool, Liverpool is a very vivacious place. The people are staunchly proud of where they come from. There's a general saying in Liverpool that the people from Liverpool are actually called Scousers, and they say we're not English, we're Scouse. So there's this idea that Liverpool looks out to the world rather than looking inwards. And so it's always had a cacophony of cultures, and that sort of bubbling international activity is part of its lifeblood. It has a wonderful sort of cultural and colourful vibrancy to it. And so in terms of storytelling, in terms of folklore tales, it's fertile ground. Shiverpool started nearly now, like 14 years ago. It started with an idea. Started with a brother and a sister. So it's a family-run business. I got involved in it roughly about 7 years ago. It's come from a place that has a love of literature, a love of language, a love of storytelling, a love of history, and a love of Liverpool. And that really was where it came from. The people that we invite on the tours range from, corporates looking for something different in terms of entertainment and learning about the city, to schools. We do a lot of work with schools in and out of the city centre in terms of workshops and things. So the thing that makes, I think, Shiverpool unique, apart from any other tour, is that unique blend. I think, of political satire. We do like to, look at, the political sort of landscape as well. It's very important to engage that group in that conversation, mixed in with the history of the city and how, politics has influenced it. And then looking at the idea of life and death, talking about death and dying, it's an environmental issue and a political issue as well. And we then obviously look to entertain with a good old ghost story. Everybody loves a good ghost story. And I think one of the things that sets us apart, that a lot of the guests that join us on the Shiverpool tour, is the enthusiasm and the energy of the guides and the performative nature of Shiverpool. So not only are you getting the history of the city and the folklore tales, but you're also exploring the layers of, politics and humour and some of those controversial taboo subjects like death and dying. It's all a sort of wonderful, delightful mixture of all of that. I think that's what makes Shiverpool unique, and obviously the guides are in character. They're in full regalia, they're in their costume and their theatrical makeup, and so they really do absorb their characters. But it is about questioning what's going on as well in the world and making it quite relevant to the day, but then weaving in the relevance of history as well. People find the presentation of Shiverpool very stimulating, unusual, exciting as well, because at the end of the day, you have the streets, you have the buildings, you have your stories, you have your different locations, and in that respect, it's not like a theatre, where you have props. You are the prop, you are the storyteller. And so for us, it's particularly important that the audience starts to suspend disbelief a little bit. It's very important that at the beginning of the tours, Jim, we always say, we are a high-definition experience. Turn off your phones, switch off for the next hour and a half, and if you survive, you can tweet your friends and tell them you survived. But it really is about switching off all the technology, because we're so bombarded with news parcels, tweets, fake news, and all of that. And this experience, which is essentially it's storytelling, is very grounding, I think. And so in whatever way we can, we like to make that special effort to present the best possible way. And the costume and the makeup and the characters are very much a part of that. And I think with the performers that we work with, they really do commit. They're so committed as practitioners, and I think people love it. They just find it so entertaining. The guides find it a wonderful experience. It's very exhilarating, as I'm sure you can understand. Sharing stories and things like that is a very exhilarating experience, and it just adds the sparkle, Jim, to be a little bit more dramatic.
Now, maybe the hardest question I ask fellow ghost tour operators, but would you be willing to share one, and it's always hard to narrow it down to one, but one of your favorite ghost stories from your tours?
Okay, yeah, there are a couple of stories, but the one that's, I suppose, the most famous in Liverpool is about a man called William Mackenzie. He was a merchant based in Liverpool. He came from Scotland, as a lot of the merchants actually during his time did. They came from Scotland, and he was quite a revered gentleman. During his day, he was a pillar of the community. However, Jim, like all of us, he did have a darker side. He was a famed gambler. It was reported that he lost his entire fortune, which was considerable, 3 times, and won it back in his lifetime. He was a bit of a womanizer as well. So he did gamble a lot. On this one particular evening, he had a game of poker with a mysterious gentleman called Mr. Reeves. To cut the long story short, he basically gets to the end of the evening and he's lost everything to this mysterious opponent: stock, shares, ships, houses, including the mansion he calls home. At the end of the night, Mackenzie stands up and he makes tracks to leave when Mr. Reeves says to him, "One more game, Mackenzie." But I'm penniless, says Mackenzie. I have nothing else to bet. Mr. Reeves simply says, "What about your soul then, sir?" And then Mr. Mackenzie says, "My soul, is this some sort of a joke?" And Mr. Reeves simply says, this is no joke. For a man who claims himself to be an atheist surely cannot have a soul to lose. So what have you got to lose? And what's more, to make matters even more interesting, I wager you this. If you win the next hand, I will give you back everything that you've lost to me tonight. Now, Mackenzie obviously is very proud, and he actually is an atheist, a famed atheist, and he doesn't want to give up the idea that, you know, perhaps his views on religion may be wrong, and so he bets his soul with this game of poker to this mysterious gentleman, Mr. Reeves, who, in the end, reveals himself to be the devil himself. Of course, he plays the game and he loses, and Mr. Reeves simply says, I shall not come for you, not until you are dead and you are buried in your grave beneath the ground. And so with that, the two gentlemen part, they never see each other again, and Mackenzie's so racked with fear that the devil will come for him, he builds himself a pyramidal tomb, and he buries himself above ground, sat at a table and a chair displaying a winning hand of cards. And there's a pyramidal tomb on the Crooked Smile of Rodney Street next to St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church, and you can actually see his old tomb there where he is reportedly sat upright displaying his winning hands of cards.
If our listeners happen to be in Liverpool or will be traveling there soon, what's the best place for them to find out more information about what you're up to?
So we've got a great following on our social media, Instagram, Twitter and Facebook. I'd go direct to the website, just shiverpool.co.uk. And you can buy tickets from all of the tourist information centres, and the Royal Court Theatre also sell our tickets. But generally, I go straight to the website and you can book online from there. There's two different walking tours we do, the Hope Street Shivers and the Old City and Dead House tour. On the Old City and Dead House tour, we actually go into an old morgue, the oldest mortuary in Liverpool, that Herman Melville actually documented in his book when he visited Liverpool, called Redburn. And we have a ghost bus tour as well that we run throughout the year, and especially during October.
A big thank you to Lucy Carew from Shiverpool for joining us on the episode. I have to say that story she told and the idea of a tomb there where someone has been positioned sitting or standing up to avoid a deal with the devil certainly was a creepy and cool story. For information about our tours or our Halloween season, please visit our website, which is hauntedwalk.com. If you've had the opportunity to go on one of Shiverpool's tours, we would absolutely love to hear about it. So please connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, all at Haunted Walk. Big thank you to Michelle Dennis, our audio editor, Gillian Walker-Chuck, our expert guest wrangler, and to Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com for the additional music. Please, if you haven't written us a 5-star review yet, help us meet our 55-star goal on Apple Podcasts by the end of August. It really does mean the world to us. Until we meet again next week with a really gruesome and creepy story, sweet dreams.